All right, welcome to Lights and Sirens. I am excited to be here with one of my closest friends, somebody I've always kind of looked up to and befriended, and his name is Erik Smith. Erik, thank you for being here.
Absolutely, but you didn't have to introduce me like that.
I know, I kind of threw you off there, didn't I?
Yeah.
So you got to be ready. So, Erik, you've been a paramedic for how long?
Paramedic for going on 18 years.
18 years. Now, I will stop and say this right off the front. You are the longest running paramedic that I've had on my show. And that really kind of gives us a little bit of street cred to what we're doing. So, awesome. And 18 years. So, let's go back 18 years. What were you doing before then?
I was a manager of Giovanni's Pizza.
And was it in Bethlehem?
Yes.
Nice. And it was actually, now I might be wrong, it was actually where Village Inn is now.
Yes.
It was a Giovanni's. Cool. And what was it like being a manager of a pizza parlor?
Yeah. I didn't really care for it too much. I mean, I love the job. I'd still be there today if it was still open, but, you deal with a lot more childish behaviors versus mature behaviors, and that's what the hard part is. But
Anytime
I would do
I
it
think
again.
you deal with customer service, it's one of those things.
Oh yeah.
I've been there.
And they're not always right, regardless of what they say.
You know what? The funny thing you say, the funny thing about that is, I just read somewhere where they were talking about the customer is not always right.
No.
Ain't that funny?
I'll give you a prime example.
Okay.
We had a lady come in one day, and the menu specifically says hot ham and cheese. And she got her sandwich. She touched the bag. She said, "This thing's hot. I wanted it cold." Argued with me for 20 minutes. And I'm not making fun of people, but she had on a bomber Dallas Cowboys jacket.
Well,
I'll never forget it, with a $10 yard sale sticker still on
There you go.
on the breast area of the coat. I'll never forget getting into a fight with her over a hot ham and cheese sandwich.
They're out there. They're all over the place. Which, by the way, they found out that to make sure that a football team does not have home field advantage again, they're going to have all football games at Dallas Cowboy Stadium. For all you Dallas Cowboy fans, that's for you.
You just lost some viewers.
I know, I probably did. So, you were just two. Jamie Steele, if he's listening, that was one of them. He's gonna come on podcast. Jamie.
He's a crybaby supporter.
Yeah, he loves Cowboys. Can't get enough of them. The only reason why I think we're friends because he is a Tar Heel fan too.
Oh.
So you were working at Giovanni's, and what happened?
As far as what got me into EMS, well, I actually started training straight out of high school.
Okay. So you went to EMT school?
Yes. Well, I started in the 2-year program at CVCC and did my basic level.
Oh.
And at the time, there was a lead instructor, a female lead instructor that hated men.
Sure.
And I just didn't get along with her. Kind of turned me off from it for a little bit, so I walked away from it. I joined the fire department shortly thereafter. Did that for a couple years and went back to Giovanni's. And two of our medics here, come in to eat one day and reminded me that I was getting ready to run out of my EMT before I would lose it. And I went back to school. They were starting a class in a month, I think it was. So I went back to school and finished it. And
Did you go back to CVCC?
no, I went to Caldwell.
Did you?
I finished at Caldwell.
Cool.
Yeah.
Was Reed there?
No. I don't remember who was the head honcho then.
So I don't think I don't.
But I took class under Scott Pritchard and Doug Gillespie.
Okay. So Doug was there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who was the two medics that came in and said, "Hey, you're getting ready to lose your EMT"?
Doug and Hansel.
Was it really?
Or Doug and Scott were on the truck together.
Okay.
Yep.
And so you went back to Caldwell and did all your stuff for paramedic because you had your EMT.
Correct.
And then
I was 2 months from losing it.
Really?
So I had to enroll or I was going to lose everything.
You don't want to lose that mess.
No, it's way too hard to
Did
get.
you think EMT was harder?
Me, no, because I applied myself more during
Did
the
you?
EMT. because I was in the 2-year program and I had higher standards.
That's right.
So I applied myself more.
That's right. See, I did EMT in the 6 month, 5 to 6 month thing, and that's where I really learned. Where I was like, "What the heck is this about?"
Yeah,
I didn't know we did this stuff.
Yeah.
And as an EMT, for those who are listening, you have a strict set of skills, but not as much skills per certification.
Right.
So you may have like 5 or so medicines that you can help with, or you can give. But as they always say, if you want to be a great paramedic, if you want to be a really good paramedic, you got to be a great basic.
Correct. And
so that's where you learn your foundation. So then you went to Caldwell. What did you think of paramedic school?
It was different.
Was it eye-opening?
We had a group that, well, there's only 2 of us still functioning that I know of out of the 16 or 17 that graduated.
Did you go straight to a job as soon as you graduated?
They did it in levels, of course. I got my intermediate first.
Oh, so you are the level people.
Yeah, so I got my intermediate, and as soon as I finished my intermediate, I got hired full-time at Burke, and they accommodated me, not as much as they were supposed to, but accommodated me to go to school on my days, and then I would come back to work afterwards until I got my paramedic.
So how long were you at Burke?
1 year.
1 year, and then you came to...
One long year. No, there's some good people up there.
And then you came to Alexander.
Correct.
All right, so go back to something you said. They at that time when you went to Caldwell, they were doing it in segments.
Correct.
So you had to go and did you have to take a state test for your intermediate?
Correct.
And then go and take your test for your paramedic. Ugh.
Yes. But
you learned
everybody that was in the class, with the exception of a few, went on to be in the paramedic class. So we kind of grew as a family, just like we would have at a 2-year program. Mm-hmm. And we all went and tested the same day, rented a couple hotel rooms, and all slumber parted it for night. And
so, wow. I think Grant did that same thing. Grant went and got his intermediate and then got his basic.
Yeah.
Got his paramedic.
There's not many people I know still out here that started that way.
No. See, I was a straight through. Which, I mean, I guess if I wanted to stop at intermediate, I could have stopped at intermediate.
Yeah.
But, wow. I didn't know that. So, then you came to Alexander, and here you've been ever since.
Yep. Love it.
Wow. And you also, and I'll say this too, Erik is you do a lot of the PR for the service. So you do a lot of the Apple festivals and things like that.
The interactions with the public.
Did you ever come to a point where you were like, this is what I was made to do?
To be honest, I knew that as a child.
Did you?
Yeah, as early as I can remember, I wanted to be in emergency services of some sort. And then in high school, I got in Miss Frick. I don't know if she was still there when you were there, but it was the health occupations class. Where, you're supposed to get your CNA. I never took one day of the CNA part. Every day we had clinicals, I went straight to EMS to ride with them.
Oh, yeah.
And I rode with Doug and Hansel.
Nice.
On the 8 to 5 truck. And I always got in trouble. It was me and one other person that's a medic now in Catawba County, but we always got in trouble because back then we did transports to out-of-county places like Baptist or wherever. And every time one of those calls would come in, we would jump on the truck and never go back to school and have to take notes. And they hated it. We got in trouble so much for that.
That's cool, though. I wish they did that still today. That'd been really cool. The truth of the matter is that probably brought a lot of, like, hey, look, here's what we do.
Oh, yeah.
What do you call that when you see from the outside looking in? And
yeah, most people don't realize exactly what you're going to get into until you actually.
And that's the funny thing. And let's talk about that. EMS has been around. You put together the 50th anniversary. How long ago was that?
remember, 2017 maybe?
I think it was 17. So 50th anniversary in Alexander County.
For our service, yes.
For our service, 50th anniversary. But in all understanding, EMSs had not been around, what 70 years? 75 years?
Somewhere around in there, yeah. We were one of the first paramedic level services in the state.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We were one of the first to get 12 lead capabilities.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people outside the paramedic world, they don't know what we do. So was you working as a paramedic when you started doing the EKG? You wasn't working as a paramedic at that time, was you?
When what?
EKG started coming around.
No, I didn't. I started officially in 2003 at Burke.
So what was the one thing that was like the first thing that was new to you?
I don't know, but I can remember they have a room where they keep all their outdated equipment, and there was this boat anchor Hewlett-Packard monitor.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was like 45 pounds. Big old bags you had to carry in with it because it didn't hold any of the equipment you needed.
Did you carry around a tackle box?
No. It was gone before I got it.
I would love to carry around a tackle box.
We've had bags as long as I've been in it.
The tackle box is one of those things that I think should be a logo for EMS.
Yeah. Emergency 51, right?
This is what we used to carry stuff in, and this is what we carry stuff in now.
Those shows do not depict EMS. It is not that glamorous sometimes.
It's not. It's not at all. You're exactly right. But people don't know that.
No.
People think, that we drive
Get to speed,
ambulance.
lights and sirens.
Speed,
and
go through stoplights.
sleep.
Sleep. Absolutely. What they don't see is us in the back of this ambulance with probably, in my opinion, more power and control than what we probably should have.
Oh, yeah.
And that's scary.
There's a lot riding on it.
Yeah. Because, and you live in the county that you serve, so do I. Yeah. And that means a lot to us.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the reason. In my opinion, I say it, probably the reason why we do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's also tough.
It is. And I've run into situations where I've actually run calls that my family was involved in. And of course, you run the calls when you have a kid that's the same age as your kid that's a bad call. And it's just different working for your hometown.
Mm-hmm.
It's your family. It's your livelihood.
Mm-hmm. And so 18 years.
Yep.
You're looking at 30 or 20.
I'm hoping to go to 30.
Yeah.
Maybe a little longer. It depends on how things go.
I think you can.
EMS is not what it was. I can assure you of that.
Tell me about it.
Well, when I first started, of course, here we run very few calls.
How many calls did you run?
2,200 a year.
Wow.
In 2004, something like that, somewhere around in there. And we could go to Bethlehem and work and not turn a wheel for 96 hours straight other than to eat.
Yeah.
And it's not that anymore. And you had more respect then, too.
Mm-hmm.
People knew you knew what you were doing, and now it's just... And people, when they would call, needed an ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
If they called, you better be on your A game because they were dying.
Yeah.
It was
because
just a different generation
a new
then.
Thing.
And now, it's more call for whatever because I can get in quicker.
Yeah. And we've heard that several times.
Yeah.
A lot of times. Well, don't you think they can get in? Don't you think they can get into the hospital quicker? The problem is we don't have that control.
No. And I'll tell them that too.
Yeah.
I'll take you to the triage area with the best of them.
Absolutely. You what was you just saying? Oh man, alive. 20. All right, so we said 2,200 calls a year. So
with 3 trucks, 24 hours.
For those who are listening, and there's other counties and cities who run, bigger numbers than that. We're not no metropolis like Hickory or Caldwell, but we are a 38,000, 39,000,
37 something,
37,000 people in our county, and he was running 22. We are right now, based on the shift that I just ran, we are hitting 1,000, and we've just got to the beginning of February. If that tells you anything. So we're going to be at that same pace of, again, 5, 6, close to 7,000 calls, which is a humongous jump because we're still at four trucks.
Correct.
And so that weighs a lot on us. How's your sleep?
Horrible.
Oh yeah, it does affect it, don't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's the reason why most people never make it to a career. Their bodies are just worn down by the time it's over with.
Absolutely. When I first got into it, as you know, I started having heart problems, and it all was associated with my sleep.
Yeah, stress, sleep, all those horrible factors we have. It can't be good for you to get woke up in the middle of the night from a dead sleep and scare you to death when them tones go off, But
my thing is, I'm always laying back in that bed, and those who are listening can account for this. And you hear you go to bed when you're on the bottom of the pile, and then that first tone goes out, and you're like, all right, I'm still good. I got somebody in the middle. And then the next tone goes out, and you're like, are you kidding? I'm up. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then you fall asleep.
Yep. And then your tones go off.
And then your tones go off, and you're like, let's do this.
It'll be another nap day.
Absolutely. And that's what, did you have a nap day today at all?
I had about 45 minutes.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, I had to meet somebody out at the land.
So you're married to a nurse.
Correct.
And here's my question for that. Because I've got Kristen is going to be on the show, I think, next week. And we're going to talk a little bit about
I'm sorry, by the way.
I know. She
I'm not. I don't mean that bad, Kristen.
She was like, I want to talk about the disconnect between nurses and paramedics.
There's definitely one of those.
What do you think it is?
I just don't. I don't think they understand what we're capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of the best nurses come from paramedics.
Yeah.
Because they know where they come from. Most nurses that go straight out of high school into college to get their degree, they're never taught. These medics are doing exactly what the doctors are doing in the ER, in a moving ambulance, on the side of the road, wherever, and there's no controlled environment to do it in, where they don't see the side of that.
Not at all.
And there's a lack of respect because of that too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There needs to be a lot more education.
Yeah.
For EMS.
I totally agree, and that's what we're here for, and that's what one of our goals is to kind of help people see. Hey, look, here is some of the things that we are having to do in the back of this truck. Here's some of the decisions that we're having to make in the back of this truck, and it's just as difficult. Where I'm not taking anything away from anybody's responsibility and jobs and protocols. But when we come in after that call and we go into that room and we're having to give this report, it's not based on us, some assumptions that we're making. This is based on, hey, we've seen this before.
Yeah.
I've experienced this before. I've done my skill set. I've done my vitals. I've seen all this. We may know what we're talking about. And I think, I don't know. It can be very difficult.
Oh, yeah.
And they can be very difficult.
Well, you gotta. Yes, it's an ER, and yes, you see different things, but you know what's coming at you. They come through the door and tell you what's wrong. Mm-hmm. Where we get dispatched to unknown situations, and it's make a decision like that, you got to save somebody's life.
Yeah.
They don't experience that side of it.
I think the biggest one for me right now is strokes. Is I walk into an ER and I'm like, this person's having a stroke. And they're like, well, let's not go to CT scan right yet.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about it. I'm like, dude, you're going to do exactly the same thing I just got done doing for 25 minutes.
Yeah. And
you're holding up the process. And
that's another bad side of it. They don't trust that we know what we're doing.
What do you think needs to happen for
that? I think doctors should be required to ride along. Nurses should be required like 1 or 2 shifts to ride third person to see what actually happens.
I agree.
Because they don't understand that you know, you could be in the middle of a conversation with your wife and the tones go off. You got to hang up on them. And you don't know when you'll get to talk to them again, or if you'll even get to talk to them again.
Yeah.
You know, they don't understand that we go out and put our lives on the line. You never know with these unknown calls what you're going to walk into. You're going into somebody's house at 3:00 in the morning that may or may not be armed, or, you know, you're going to startle them. So who knows what their response is going to be. And all that stuff needs to be seen firsthand to believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I tell everybody now that's a new medic, I started this about 2 years ago. They need to start writing stuff down. When you see something crazy or off the wall, nothing that's going to identify anybody, but like, this happened this day, because 10 years from now, you'll never remember it.
Yeah.
Or somebody will bring it up and you're like, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. But then you can go back and say, oh, yeah, it happened.
That's good. You know, I used to do that, and I stopped. I wish I would have never stopped.
I wish I had started.
Because I still got some, what I call my little black books, where I even took EKGs and pasted it in there.
Yeah.
And then I just stopped. I don't know why I did that. Maybe it's burnout.
You get complacent.
Complacent's a good one. We get too complacent. I get complacent over a lot of things.
It's easy to do.
Well,
but that's a stress burner. That's a way to let things go. So,
be complacent?
Yeah.
Okay. I guarantee you, I agree with it 100%.
Yeah.
How do you deal with stress?
Now versus then?
Yeah.
When I first started, it was horrible.
Yeah.
The anxiety of, oh God, I'm fixing to have somebody's life in my hands. Not that it's any less now, but you deal with it different, you know. And everybody does it differently. For me personally, when I'm on the way to the call, I'm just sitting reflecting in my head. Okay, I've been down this road 1,000,000 times. This is the treatments I've done in the past. This is what my game plan is. Now, the game plan never works out when you get there, but that I make a game plan in my head on every call, even the minute calls of vomiting for a day. Sure. You know, I try to have a game plan in my head of what I'm going to do.
So I'm going to get real, because I just feel like I need to. Because stress is one of those things that we all have deal with. We deal with it in some way, shape, or form. And anytime I have somebody who has had a whole lot more experience than I have, years of experience than I have, I always want to kind of lean their ear and say, you know, how you deal with this. Because you are, I guarantee, are dealing with stress in some way, shape, or form if you're listening to this. And it's always good to hear from what I'm struggling with, and maybe what somebody else has struggled with, and how you deal with it. One thing that I have noticed about myself, and we're not counselors. I'm going to say this too. We're not counselors. We're not psychiatrists. I'm going to have a psychiatrist on here in the next couple months, and you know he's licensed to do so. This is just experience. So one of the things I've noticed about myself, and I don't know if you've ever dealt with this before, is I have, for some calls, some scenes, if it's real bad, if it's a death, it's something to do with a child, I will take myself completely out, almost like an outer body experience.
Yeah.
And walk into, deal with it like a champ. But when it comes to real life, like say home, the question is, well, you're emotionless.
Yeah, but I think all of us do that more than we realize, because it's engraved in our head. This is what we do on every call.
Yeah.
So I think we take ourselves out of it more than we even realize. And of course, the bad calls, you realize it because aftermath, you're going to think about it. But I think we do it all the time. We just second nature now.
What about at home? Do you still find yourself being emotional?
I drive my wife crazy because I don't speak about work at home, and
you know what? And that is 100% fact about you, which I applaud that.
When I leave work, I leave it at work because I don't want my family to have to see and hear what I've dealt with for the day. Even the stupid calls, I shouldn't say stupid, but even the calls that don't need an ambulance versus the calls that are just absolutely horrific, you know, the things we see, nobody else needs to see that.
Yeah.
And just a side note, that is the worst question to ask any medic ever. What's the worst thing you've seen?
Yeah, it is. People don't get that.
No,
because
and then
they
when
know.
you say I'm not going to answer that, or I don't want to answer that, well, why not?
Yeah. I don't want you to have the nightmares that I have.
Right. And I do. I
Yeah.
have nightmares of calls I've run since I started this.
Mm-hmm.
It just keeps playing over and over in my head.
I used to have, I haven't in a long time, but I used to have, my dad died, and I used to have images of my dad being in the back of the truck with me if it was a patient that was his sex and his age.
Right.
And I would look at him, it would almost be like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And people don't know we deal with that mess.
No. And you never get over it.
Never. Ever. It's crazy.
And you'll have triggers.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be going into the grocery store and you'll see somebody that looks like one of your patients, and it'll flash you back to the moment, and you relive it all over again.
So for you don't talk about it, you don't deal with it. So do you ever find yourself like say your wife or like your kids, they find something that's very emotion filled, and you don't find that as emotion filled as like say they would? Do you ever been there?
Oh yeah. I mean,
like they sit there and go,
you have to
why does that
develop.
not bother you?
You have to develop a thick skin. A shelter around yourself, because you know what you're dealing with. You know it's going to be hard, and you don't want other people to. I guess you want to be the macho, the strong one. You don't want to bring others down with you.
Yeah.
And we have the emotions. They're just internal emotions.
Yeah.
We don't show them externally.
There's a book by Brené Brown. I don't think I have it here, but she writes about being vulnerable. And I have a hard time being vulnerable because, as men in this business and men, husbands and fathers, we have the tendency to not be vulnerable. We're told not to be vulnerable. Strong, be macho, like you said. And in this book, she talks about how a lot of our spouses, a lot of our family members would rather see us die on our steeds with our shield and our sword in the air than ever see us vulnerable.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Which is horrible.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's okay to cry.
You
have to.
Yeah.
It's okay to
come
to me anytime, day or night. Call me.
Yeah.
Talk to me. You need to.
Yeah.
You got to have somebody that knows firsthand what you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against my wife. She's a nurse, but she doesn't understand as much as you would, or someone else has been in it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Right.
And I think that's what we need to have a whole lot more of.
I think we need to do a lot more debriefings on stuff too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think, and it's not that our service doesn't have it available.
Right.
They're all available.
Right.
But we have to be the ones to look back and say, hey, this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
We need to. I remember something, I'm not going to go into detail about it, but something that happened, big event that happened in our county, the flood, and some of these supervisors are having to go out and do some things that, we're sitting here eating, and we get a call, and they say, hey, we need you to come out here and take care of some situations. And they're coming back with tears coming down their face. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is crazy.
And that's one reason I've always, since I've been in management side of things, is my door's always open for people, because I know that you go through that. You struggle. Everybody struggles with that. And sometimes it's just a matter of a 5-minute conversation to ease a mind, and they can let it go.
Yeah. Yep.
Or be talking to them and realize, hey, you need a little bit more help than what
Sure.
I can give you. We need to set you up with somebody to talk
Sure.
to.
That's good. That's good. You got any hobbies?
Work.
Do you guys? Are you in school?
I'm taking management courses.
Where at?
Creighton University.
Nice. Are you learning a lot
Yeah.
about management?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we could do better,
Uh-huh.
and there's stuff that we do good.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully by the time I'm done with it, I'll be able to bring some of that
Nice.
and make some suggestions.
So both you and I went to community paramedic school, or classes. We took classes, not school, community paramedic, and that's really hitting off in a lot of places. You think that's something that we need over here?
I think it would be nice, but I don't think it's feasible right now because
Not.
we don't have a hospital, we don't have financial backing, and as small as our county is, there's nowhere to just come up with funds for a program like that.
Yeah. And these other places who do have it, they have all that.
Right. They have the tax base, and they bring in millions of dollars for stuff like that, donations even, but we just don't have that here in this small county.
So if you could be anywhere in the world right now, I know you just got back on vacation, but you didn't really go on vacation.
It wasn't vacation. It was a marriage retreat.
What's some of the best vacations you go on?
Mine and my wife's go to or Disney or a cruise.
Nice. When was the last time you went to Disney?
I'm going in 3 weeks.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Sweet. Now you went not too long ago, right?
2 years. Well, 2019. December of 2019.
2020 was such a blur anyway. For some reason I thought. So you did go before COVID.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I had COVID before I went.
Okay.
Because I got sick as a dog with all the symptoms.
Yeah.
And old Doc, he hooked me up with some
some
powerful drugs
nice.
And got me cleaned up before I could go to
So
Disney.
you had COVID twice. Once.
Well, I guess technically you could say twice if you count that one.
How was it for you?
Just a cough, fatigue. Every chore you did was just exhausting.
Do you feel any symptoms?
Still?
Yeah.
Cough.
Do you still have a cough?
I still have a cough.
Yeah.
It's never went away. But other than that, I didn't. Courtney, my wife, she had lost her smell and taste. She had a little bit of a cough, but nowhere near what I had, and the tiredness and stuff. But neither one of us ever had a fever. It
So
affects
she
everybody
lost
different.
taste?
She did.
Did you lose taste? Boy, I lost
She
taste.
still doesn't have it back.
Really?
Mm-mm.
How long ago has it been?
3 or 4 weeks.
Wow.
3 weeks, something like that.
Wow.
Since we come out of quarantine, so then another 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So a month at least.
That's a long time to go without tasting anything.
Oh, yeah. And I find myself, I'll fix something to eat, and she'll be eating like, you like it? I'll make it again.
Have you tried that?
Really?
Have you tried that thing where they cook the oranges?
No, but she's wanted to do that. But I
You
don't
need to
believe
do it,
I don't
man.
believe it.
You need to be like a TikTok person going, this is a bunch of BS. It doesn't really work. So I had it. My wife had it. A couple of my kids had it. I lost taste. But I still, to this day, feel like I've lost like lung capacity.
I would agree with that.
Like
I get short of breath easy. Like
it's crazy, isn't it?
I always wrote it off to my weight. Bend over, put on my shoes. I can't breathe. The
That's
EMS
what we
belly.
always want to do. We all want to, it's our weight. It's our weight's the problem. But no.
But it's true. When I started in 2003, I was 135 pounds.
Shut the front door. 135 pounds?
I've doubled my weight almost in the 18 years I've been in it.
When I graduated high school, I weighed 160 pounds. And I've not only doubled that. No. Yeah. I've increased that by 10 pounds.
That's what EMS will get you.
I always blame it on marriage.
No. Well, that's part of it, but you got fast food at any hour of the night.
Yeah.
Sheets at 2 o'clock in the morning.
You got to stop by Sheets. And then here's the thing about Sheets, though. You go, and if Sheets is listening, sponsor your boy, because I love it. But when you go by Sheets, and when you're at Sheets, and you're just getting gas, and you're like, I'm just going to get me something to drink. And then when you walk in, and they've got them cash registers open, you're like,
kiosk.
yeah. And then you're like, oh, I like that. That looks good too. That looks good too.
You leave with $20 worth of food.
But yeah, exactly right. And you don't know what to do with yourself. So, so you're going to Disney World in 3 weeks? That's awesome. Let me ask you this:
Just me and my wife.
Have you been to both Disney World and Universal?
No, never been to. Well, I think I went to Universal as a kid, but no, Disney's our go-to. We love Disney.
So we're looking at in the future going on a trip like that, and we're kind of caught between Universal and Disney. We're not going to stay on
Have you ever been before?
Disney, and it's the greatest place
As a family?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's amazing.
just the animation inside of the rides. And they're getting ready to open a couple of new rides.
I heard they're getting ready to open an Avengers World.
I don't know about that, but
It's-
Tron's getting ready to, Tron or whatever
Tron?
it is getting ready to open up in the spring, and then they're redoing a couple like
I heard
Erik
this
Smith.
year, and it's going to be a boom, open up. There's going to be an Avengers World, but it's going to have like the Avengers base, all set up and ready to go.
Yeah, but they need to do it in a separate park.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is the parks, you don't have enough time to do it all anyway.
No.
You cram another
What's your favorite?
park?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's tough.
It is.
I like them all.
If Disney, the head of Disney was to come out and say, look, we're going to have to shut down all parks except one.
I'd have to go with Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
I would, but they're all.
MGM's amazing. Is MGM's one, right?
No, it's Hollywood Studios.
Hollywood Studios.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my son
that's
loves
amazing.
the Tower of Terror. That's his.
That is an amazing place. Because it's also got, look, Avengers Campus. It's a Disneyland resort. See, they, when we went, we stayed for a week. And we went to Magic Kingdom. We went at the worst time. See, look at that.
Oh yeah. That's kind of like Star Wars.
Yeah. So it's going to be like Star Wars. So it's not
Which,
gonna
by
be,
the way, if you're wanting to do that, you better plan way ahead.
I heard. Are you going to do it?
I'll put my name on the list, but it's a bid process.
Oh, is it really?
Similar, like at a certain time in the morning, it opens up for boarding passes, and you got to get on there first thing and put your name and how many's in your party in there. And if you're lucky, you'll get a boarding pass for the day. There's no line for it.
Is there, are they letting characters walk now?
I think they have some, but nowhere near
Like they used to.
the capacity they used to. Everything's social distance. You got to wear a mask.
You know what's so amazing about that's the thing that, in my opinion, makes Disney World is the characters, because they play that role.
Oh yeah.
When we went, we was at Magic Kingdom, and we were kind of hanging out to the side, and the parade was coming through, and
That
like
parade gets on my nerves.
well,
It blocks the streets, and I can't get to my
Yeah.
rides.
We see, well, it was our first time, and so we were like, "Oh, this is amazing!" And so all the vehicles was running behind the scenes. There was this big door. That's where we were, and as they was going through this doorway, they were turning around and waving at us. Even
Oh, yeah.
mean, the last second to where they couldn't see another person. And I was like, "That is amazing," because if it had been us, we'd like,
Yeah. See ya.
we're through the doors. This is where I
But
can.
there's a whole
smoke.
secret society in Disney. I
Is there?
mean, like your characters, they all go underground to do all their movement around in the parks.
Oh.
They don't move up on top of the ground like we do. So like when they go behind the scenes through the gates, they go underground into a basement like structure, and it's all throughout the park.
I didn't know that.
So if they want whoever the princess to get from one point to another, she goes underground and walks to that point.
Mm-hmm.
They're not allowed to do any of their breaks out in public eye. It's all secretive.
There is a way you can pay $1,000 if you have $1,000 to blow. If I had $1,000 to blow, I'd do this in a heartbeat. And it may not be $1,000, maybe cheaper than that. Look it up. Dinner with an Imagineer. You can have a dinner with an Imagineer.
Up to about I think it's 6 or 7 years ago, you could stay inside Disney. They had an apartment. They have an apartment in Disney.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Walt's apartment.
You know what I wish they'd do? Have medics in Disney.
No, that's my time away. I don't want to even think about a medic.
It would ruin Disney for you, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Is it up there? Is there one? Dine with an Imagineer at the Hollywood Brown Derby is temporarily unavailable. But anyway, that Hollywood Brown Derby is expensive in itself.
We don't really eat at the
Do you not?
park. No.
Ever?
What we typically do is we eat a big breakfast before we go. I try to pick hotels that have free breakfast, because
Nice.
that's just
Smart.
how I work. But pick a hotel that's got free breakfast. We eat as much as we can, and then we'll pack a few little snacks. And at lunch, we'll share a meal because their meals are big enough you could share
Mm-hmm.
just to get through the hunger part of it. And then we're on the go until supper time when we leave the park at whatever, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and we go eat somewhere.
Nice. Do you stay inside? Do you stay at?
I did last time. We're not this time.
So you're staying outside the park?
Yeah, it was a $2,000 difference to go.
Shoot, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I get free breakfast.
At your place? Is it a hotel or is it?
I couldn't tell you. I don't remember the name of the hotel, but
We have. I think if we do it, we're going to do a house because there's 17,000 of us, so we'd have to do something like that.
take the army.
Yeah.
You gonna borrow a bus from the school system?
Well, we'll have to do something. Trade in what vehicles we got to rent a vehicle. I don't know.
Renting a vehicle is horrible, man.
It's
We looked
nasty.
at doing a Tahoe to go down because I didn't want to put miles on mine. It was $800 for
Ain't that
the week.
ridiculous? When I used to work in churches and we used to do trips all the time, we would rent a van.
Oh yeah.
And it was $500. $500 to rent a van, and we had to make sure it was full of gas. Pay for our gas.
I've tried a couple times to talk Courtney into let me buy a camper, RV,
Well, that'd be cool.
and then
Everybody wants one.
then our dogs don't have to be boarded.
There you go.
Save us a little bit more money.
Courtney, if you're listening to this, I think it's a great idea. I would love it. Would
She
you go
says
camping?
house before camping.
Oh, that is true. Y'all are looking right. That's still. You think?
Hopefully we'll be closing the 25th on some
get
land,
that? Good for y'all. Good for y'all.
and then it'll be a matter of sacrificing my
Well, see,
left
here's
arm
the
and my
deal.
right leg.
So you got your land. Go ahead and get a camper, so you can move on the land. Take you some time with what you're gonna build.
She doesn't want to live in anything smaller than what I'm in.
Okay, well, I get it. That's Star Wars. Are you gonna do that?
You can ride one of them without having to have a boarding pass. Galaxy's Edge, I think that's it.
Now, do you get the bracelets?
They're not doing bracelets right now because of COVID. I mean, they'll give you a bracelet. Sorry, they're not doing fast passes. But
Oh.
that's only if you stay in the park.
Oh, really?
If you stay out of the park, you get the cards,
Oh,
unless you want to pay for it. But it's like $59 at a band, and that's money I could spend on
Maybe
something
spend
else.
That makes sense. Well, that's what we're looking. We're looking at doing something like that this year, and I think we're going to go towards. We first talked about Universal because of Harry Potter, but then
We'll do it too.
we can't do both.
Sure, you can.
Do both parts.
I mean, if you're gonna don't stay in the park, if you stay outside the park, you can do it easy. I mean, you wouldn't get as much time, but like if you did a 7-day vacation, you could do 4 days in Disney, 1 in each park, and then Universal for a day.
That's what we should do then, because there's only Harry Potter's the only thing we want to see at Universal.
Right now is the time to book your. Shout out to Disney if they want to jump in on this. But right now is the time to book it because their prices are $50 less a person per day
Really?
to go to the park because of restrictions and stuff.
We're supposed to get a stimulus. Another one. What do you think about all that stimulus money? Our dollar bill is going to be worth
Nothing.
nothing. That's
And
crazy, isn't it?
somebody somewhere soon is going to have to pay for it.
Oh, yeah. We pay for it next year?
Probably.
Tax laws have changed.
Really?
Next year, instead of a tax return like everyone's normally going to would get, they're offering the proposal on the floor at this point is to give that throughout the year in split up little payments. So like if you get
For the kid?
for example, if you normally get back $2,000 a year in a return, you would get that $2,000, but it would be split up several different times through the year. But but come the end of the year when you file your taxes, you will owe. That's across the board. Everyone would owe.
Fantastic.
It'd be like the sheriff in Nottingham.
So I guess it would be beneficial to claim as much as you possibly can throughout the year.
Well, I mean, they're going to give it to you throughout the year. That's the point.
Yeah. Well, they're talking about doing $3,000 a child now.
I know.
That's not going to make it.
$300 a month, $3,600, $300 a month per child. I don't know how they'll do it without going.
I read somewhere where it's $3,600 for 6 and under, $3,000 6 to 17.
Yes.
But then they're going to break it down. They want to do that every month, so they're going to break that number down to where it's almost like you're getting another salary. So for like, whatever it is for somebody, 2 people, you break $3,600 down times however many kids you got times a year, and then they split it out throughout the year.
And there's some people out there that need it, but there's a lot of people that don't need it that are taking advantage of it.
What about the whole college?
I saw somebody post on this, and they said, "I didn't sign your student loan debt."
It's true. I wouldn't want nobody to do that for me. It's not their responsibility. I wish that a bachelor's degree still meant a bachelor's degree.
Well, but you pay on your student loans.
Mm-hmm.
I pay on Courtney's student loans. We've been paying.
Mm-hmm. And we'll pay.
Why? Yeah, right. Doctors pay on $500,000 student loans.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
it's you're gonna have it going into it.
Yeah. You think Trump's gonna be impeached?
I've thought a lot of things over the last few months, but
Haven't we?
I don't know. I think it's just
I don't think he's going to be. I think they're going to come to the point.
it's all for show.
I think the Democrats are trying. It's all for show, but I don't know why.
Well, you gotta destroy a party
I just watched the hearing.
or attempt to destroy a party to empower yourself.
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy where we live in.
Yeah.
But you know what we're doing? Still doing our thing.
Yeah, and will be.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me today, the guy I met at the land to look at grading it, he said, how long you worked there? And I told him, he said, well, what's your goal? And I said, well, they're either going to fire me or retire me. That's the only 2 options at this point,
Yeah. I think, over the past several years in EMS, the powered stretcher, has increased longevity.
Oh, yeah.
And the the things in the back of the people with the trucks, what do you call them? The lifts.
Yeah.
Are really nice. I mean, the more stuff like that, longevity can happen if your body's already.
Well, just the CPR devices.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Not having to be on your knees and pumping up and down on a chest.
Absolutely. Just like the other day, I was sitting there thinking, I was walking around.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember me having to be on my knees, bent over this whole time. Yeah. Yep. What's one thing you could tell yourself right now, 18 years ago, as you were getting started in EMS?
Exactly what I said earlier. Write it all down.
Write it all down. Write it all down.
I every time somebody says, "You remember me and you run this call?" Blah 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 blah. No, I ain't got a clue. You're gonna have to give me a lot more detail. This is 18 years worth. It all runs together.
You could always kind of. You may not remember everything, but you can remember. You remember some of those things.
I'll be sitting there and people will be talking about something I was on, and okay, yeah, and then it'll hit me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember that. This, and this happened, but until those triggers come, you can't remember.
Do you think you could write a book?
If I'd have kept notes, yes.
What about now?
I'm telling you, if they wrote a soap opera based off of EMS,
oh my gosh,
bestseller.
Oh, in a heartbeat. These movies don't even do it justice.
No.
They don't have a clue.
No.
I
Like 911.
have a generalized question for paramedics.
Okay.
Do you have the ability, obviously you've been in this 18 years, you've had to somewhat cut your emotions off?
Yeah.
At
We
work?
just had this
We
conversation.
just talked about that.
We
yeah.
just talked about it.
Okay, so do you turn it back on when you get home?
No.
Yeah.
Well, let me
does
let me
something-
reword
no,
that.
what he
I will
does-
turn it on for for my family when they need me, but it's
Yeah.
you got to put the shield on.
Yeah, you'll have to watch we talked about that. It's good. It's really good. And I think that's I think that's one of the things. If you could write a book of 5 things you wish you had known before you started paramedic school, it'd be a bestseller. Because I think there's things that we still don't, like we talked about emotions. We talked about nobody talks about this stuff.
Yeah. The hard stuff doesn't
Yeah.
get exposed till you're in it.
We were just recommending, hey, this is a pretty stable job and we're just helping.
Yeah.
We have no clue.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking the whole time. It was like, hey, this is going to be a paycheck. Because at the time, I wasn't getting a paycheck. I was working in church, and I wasn't getting a paycheck. And I was like, I
Well,
need a job.
when
and
I
get a
started here, it was a waiting list to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had multiple names on a list that if it come open, you started at the top and worked your way down on who wanted it.
Yeah.
I mean, that didn't last long because people realized they could go back to school for a nurse or a nurse practitioner or PA, whatever. And we were just a stepping stone then
Mm-hmm.
for people to get higher educations, which there's nothing wrong with. You definitely have to be called
Mm-hmm.
to do this line of work. It's not.
Where do you see EMS, not you, EMS, in 5 years? What are we doing? Are we doing anything different?
5 years? I don't think so.
Have
Not
we
much.
added anything to the repertoire?
I think you'll see stuff go away. They'll label it as an obsolete skill, and there's no point in doing it in the field. And like innovations, for example,
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll take that away.
Innovations?
You'll just
Agreed.
put in a airway and adjunct and be done.
I think they're going to, sonograms. Not sonograms. What do you call it?
Ultrasound.
Ultrasounds, yes.
I could see that.
I see
in certain
ultrasounds coming,
situations.
but with it coming, something's got to go.
But if you think really futuristic, would it not be awesome when you're pushing the stretcher into the truck for a CT scan at the back of the truck?
Dang right, son. You don't think for a second these trucks already have that in mind. Dude.
But think about it. I mean,
can you imagine?
you push them in the truck and say, "Yep, they got a brain bleed. We need to go to Baptist,
Yeah.
or we need to fly them."
I saw, yeah. Well, I'm telling you, I saw my first real, legit brain bleed ever the other day, and it was the craziest thing in the world.
But that stuff's coming. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
I saw an ambulance in St. Louis, maybe. They just bought. It's a double ECMO ambulance.
Yeah.
They got 2 patients on there on ECMO, and they drive it to the hospital that needs it, and then they put them on ECMO and then leave and go somewhere else. ECMO.
Yeah. That's
You know
nuts.
that
That's the real deal right there, buddy. That'd scare me to death driving, man. I wouldn't drive. I'd be afraid to death to drive that thing. I'd be like, oh, got a bump coming up.
Well, look at these ambulances that Brenner's drives. I mean,
They're amazing.
Oh,
If unfortunately they canceled EM Today again this year.
yeah,
So for 2 years in a row, there's no EM Today. But they say
that's probably a good thing.
it is. But here's where the bad thing comes in. Their words, not mine. We're gonna make 2022 EM Today the best it could ever be. And you leave 2 years without us paramedics being able to go away and having
Did you go? You've been?
Oh, yeah.
I've never been in 18 years.
Have you not?
And no desire.
Well, here's the thing. I could see where it could be bad, but I see the good too. And you don't give these guys 2 years to kind of let loose and hang out.
Oh,
That hotel will be rubble.
But I choose not to go just because I don't want to be in that environment.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they have some good things. Like I love the medical director's report. That's really good. And being able to see some of these, I could see where you get a lot of trouble. These cats, but the whole they have the trucks there.
Yeah.
Like the new model trucks. And they have one that I think Chapel Hill had where you could bring one from the back
And
then
one from
put
the
one on the side. And I'm like thinking like what you said, how easy would it be for them to put a CT in the very back of those things? I mean, you think about it. Did you ever do traveling the cardiac where they go run on the treadmill? What is that called? Stress test. Have you ever done this
I
traveling
worked
stress
for
test?
him one day.
Did you?
One day.
One day.
Never
Well,
called me again. I guess they didn't like me.
Well, the time was what killed me, man. 4 o'clock in the morning.
But my other job, I go in at 5 some mornings. So
So I could see them doing a CT like we do traveling stress tests.
yeah,
So
I wanted to get into that, but it just didn't
it was all right.
pan out.
That was one of my first jobs in EMS while I was just started EMS. And so I was having to read all this stuff on EKGs all the time, which made me better, but it was also one of those things where
Yeah, but at the time that I was exposed to possibly getting a job at doing that, I had 5 jobs already, so
Yeah.
juggling another one on top of that.
So how many jobs you got now?
2.
I still got 5. And I'm wanting to I want to get out of that
I had
mess.
5 for about 6 or 7 years, and you can't do it.
No, it ain't no fun.
Google Calendar is your friend, though.
Oh, absolutely. I have to share it with my wife
Yeah,
and then my
me too.
kids, and I'm like, well, let me look at Google Calendar.
And somebody
see
will
what
call and be
dad's
like,
gonna
"Can y'all do something one day next month?" So I just take a snapshot and send it to them, and they're like, "What am I supposed to do with this?"
pick a.
Eric, I love you. He asked me this morning, would you like to go out on a date tonight? And then later said, I've got that podcast. He was much better than at this time.
I mean, I guess we could have a fancy dinner right here.
I've
and
done it before.
have a date night.
How do you do Google Calendar?
Oh yeah,
That's amazing.
you have to.
Yeah.
In our line of work, because I don't know very few people
Yeah.
that don't have multiple jobs.
Yeah. So I do this, and then I do my podcasting, which I try to do at least 2-3 a month. I'd like to do one. If I could do one every day, I love doing this. I absolutely love it. I've got 3 or 4 websites that I run and try to spark business on the side of that. But then I have my paramedic job, which is my main job. I have a part-time paramedic job, and then I teach on 2 different colleges. And I just really, and then I did my taxes, and I saw what I made out of all those jobs, and I'm like,
It ain't worth it.
what am I doing?
Yeah, I've been there.
But it is what it is.
And you pay so much. Well, you have a little different situation than I do, but
I want to
would
make
pay,
sure
every year I was paying thousands of dollars, and it's still to this day I have extra taken out just so
Yeah.
I can break even if I'm lucky.
Absolutely, without question. All right, so now's the time of our show where we're going to do a thing called "Would You Rather" or "What the Heck." I'll give you an option. What do you want that?
Thanks
to
for
be?
making me the guinea pig
I
here.
know this is the first time we're doing this. So, and this is sponsored by Pod Decks. Now, what are Pod Decks? Pod Decks powers the conversation. So, if you are new into podcasting, or if you are new in interviewing, let me just tell you this: interviews are the power of the process. So, if you can interview somebody real good, Pod Decks empowers your ability to interview. And if you have, you get a deck of cards, very simple, something like this right here, And it's got all kinds of questions that you can ask. Now, for those who are listening today, if you use the code Lights and Sirens, you can get 10% off on all your pod decks that you purchase today. And today we're going to be using one or two of them based on what Eric wants to do.
Just surprise me.
What the heck or would you rather? Let's just do would you rather.
Oh, great.
Because that's the best one to do. Would you rather? All you got to do is just kind of shuffle them up. And we'll ask. First one here. Oh, God. You ready?
No.
You
Do I
ready?
need to do another one?
Yeah, we might need to. That makes me gag thinking about that one. Would you rather have pizza rolls or pizza bagels? I know my answer right off.
Pizza rolls.
You're a pizza roll guy?
The bagels are too chewy.
Maybe I don't cook them right then. Because every time I cook pizza bagels, they are crisp, like crunchy.
They're still chewy. Ugh.
So you're a pizza roll guy. Pizza rolls. I'm pizza bagels all day long. Would you rather be handcuffed to the most annoying person you know for 24 hours or... Automatically. You don't even know what... Or, you see, here's the thing. You already had it in your mind who that most annoying person was.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Or go camping with someone who likes you, but you don't like back.
I think I'd rather do that. I would not want to be attached to anybody that annoys the crap out of me.
Really?
No.
What if you were in the back of a truck with somebody that annoyed the crap out of you for 24 hours? How do you handle it?
Well, one, they would be driving if I'm in the back of the truck.
Well, I'm talking if you had to work with somebody for 24 hours that annoyed the crap out of you.
I would distance myself. If we're at the base, I'm in my room.
Amen, brother. I was getting ready to say right before you said it, I'd be in my room.
But there are very few people I've worked with in EMS that I would say I couldn't be around.
You got a good shift. You got a good shift of people. Every one of them.
Yeah.
We got a good service group of people. Agreed. But you would say you would rather be with somebody that liked you, but you didn't like them back.
Yes. Because at least they're going to treat me good.
That's true. Good point. Good point. Would you rather... Oh, this is a good one. Would you rather have creamy or chunky peanut butter?
Creamy.
Really? You don't like the nuts?
Peter Pan Honey Nut Roast all the way.
Dude.
The only peanut butter.
Isn't it good?
Poovy, shout out.
Is that what he uses?
Yeah, I give him a sample of mine, and he's like, oh, this changed your life. And we went through a 4-month period. We couldn't get it. They weren't making it. They were only making regular Peter Pan. I would go to every Walmart in a 3-county radius, and nobody would have it.
Why were they not having it?
I don't know.
Because I couldn't find it for a while.
I had my in-laws in Mooresville looking in the grocery stores, Hickory, calling all the Publix. Nobody had any. And I went into Walmart, I don't know, probably about 3 weeks ago in Hickory on Springs Road, and happened to look down way back in the back with 6 jars of it, and I took them all.
No? Did you really?
I sure did.
You know what I do with that same
I'm the
thing?
problem.
Yeah. You're the reason why we got a shortage of Peter Pan honey roasted. It is good.
Oh, man.
It will change your life. Have you ever tried a honey peanut butter, Peter Pan honey and marshmallow sandwich?
Nah.
What do they call those?
Apparently China's banned peanut butter.
They Peter Pan.
They've banned Peter Pan.
Well,
Wow.
it's because people are addicted to it.
That's probably we're gonna stop the addiction in China.
Yeah.
But the heroin is real.
Yeah.
But you, if I got a jar, it's just a spoon.
Oh yeah, it's good.
Oh yeah.
It's addicting.
I tell myself it's protein every day.
Well, it's got.
I mean,
protein.
regardless of the sugar
Sure.
content.
Honey's good for you, right?
Yeah.
What's those rice cakes, white cheddar rice cakes. I do the same thing. And
White cheddar rice cakes for what?
I eat them raw, or in plain, or I eat them with tuna or whatever. You know,
a good way to eat it.
what?
And this Kristen told me this. Put cream cheese on it and everything bagel seasoning.
Nice.
Tastes just like a everything bagel.
That's a plus. The other thing I buy,
And it's healthy.
We went to Walmart. Greater Value watermelon juice. You like watermelon juice?
Watermelon juice.
Dude, change your life.
I had a juice Sunday that changed my life.
What was it?
Strawberry orange juice.
From where?
Had fresh mass. They did their own orange juice and then they mashed strawberries and pulped it and put it in there.
Oh wow!
Oh my
that was good.
gosh!
Was it regular orange juice?
Oh, they made it themselves in this
Squeezed it.
restaurant. Mm-hmm.
Wow! What kind of restaurant is this?
It's called Five Oaks Farmhouse in Pigeon Forge. Man, we better be getting some sponsors. That's all I got to say.
I'm telling you, all this stuff. Listen, hook up your boy. We will talk about it in here. All right, next one. All right, would you rather have your head be too big for your body or hands that are too small for your size? Head too big for your body.
Yeah, because we use our hands for everything we do.
Mm-hmm. And do you see?
I mean, you could even use your hands to hold up that big head. You know?
Yeah, if I. Did you see how much ridicule that Trump got over how small his hands were the whole time he was president? There's no way.
I was not informed this was going to be a political episode.
It was not.
I'm not prepared.
Has really small hands. Like I can't even grasp a family size box of cereal.
Yeah. It would suck to have Brandy's hands.
It does.
It would suck. I like these huge hands. I can do whatever.
Unless you're in a certain job profession, then it's good to have.
Yeah. If you're a doctor and you're having to do, rectal checks all day long, I wouldn't want to do that. Look, small hands. It makes this little can look a little tiny. Liquid Death, sponsor me. All right. Would you rather have very fat arms with skinny legs, or vice versa?
Fat arms with skinny legs.
Fat. Here's the thing: I can make fat look muscular.
Yeah.
So.
And
like
your
my
legs
arm-
are mostly covered. Your arms are exposed more, so I think the arms you'd want fattier.
Agreed. I agree. Last one. Here we go.
Okay.
Would you rather have no eyebrows or an extra finger?
I mean, if you like to eat those little round cookies, you'd have an extra finger to put
There
a
you
cookie
go.
on.
That's the way to put it. I was sitting here thinking there's no
Or a bugle.
reason. What are eyebrows for except for just
I mean,
makeup?
maybe one day in your podcast we'll shave yours off and see what the difference is.
If I get 1,000, we'll see. I mean,
You better be careful.
if I was to get 10,000 followers,
When you get 10,000 followers,
I would shave my.
shaving them off.
I'm back that day. I'm back that
I'll
day.
shave my eyebrows off.
Bring Poovy, bring Cody, bring
10,000 followers.
You know, well, we're going to start sharing today.
All right. Again, this little segment is powered by Poddex. Poddex are unique interview questions and episodes, starting prompts in the palm of your hand. So, whether you are a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience or get more engagement, you're going to want to check out poddex.com. Using the code Lights and Sirens, you get 10% off your first order. It's a lot of fun. We used them here today. I've used them at our house for little games and also getting to know people. It's a great icebreaker. Poddex.com, Lights and Sirens. Eric, thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. We'll do it again.
Would you do it again?
Yeah.
That was awesome. If you would come back and do it again, I would love to have you.
Well, I need to know the date for the eyebrow shaving because
Well,
I'm going to be here for that.
10,000 Ah, man, it makes me sick just thinking
Set a
about it.
goal. How far out do you think it'll be?
I'll be a year.
No.
I don't know. When you start throwing stuff like that into the mix, people will like you and share you just because.
You hit 10,000 followers by the end of June, and things is
You
gone.
look like Mr. Clean if you got those.
You look like a baby now. I mean, with facial hair.
That would look
Can you
cool.
imagine what I look like without?
You
Eyebrows?
Like a giant baby.
Like a Russian.
Me.
I mean, if we're gonna do it, let's do it the hard way. Let's wax them.
Oh my God!
Listen, tried it.
I'm gonna say, if I had to wax him, it had to be $100,000.
Yeah.
Dude, what did we wax before?
No. I caught you in a sitting position,
What were we waxing?
and I waxed your eyebrow.
Just the line of it.
Than the clippers, and I got one ripped, and he said, "I don't know how anybody would ever."
I
do
just,
this twice."
I was
couldn't-
cussing.
he wouldn't let me do
I was like, this is ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
it.
All right.
Man couldn't handle waxing.
We gotta have our weaknesses.
Well, we'll do that little segment there, and we'll post it to Facebook, and we'll say, hey, 10,000 followers. 100,000 waxing them.
Are you gonna do both?
What do you mean?
Are you saying you're only wanting to do the wax, or you wanting to do both?
I'm gonna do both. I want to know. I want to do the wax. 100,000 followers, wax.
But 10,000, they're getting shaved.
I think he's trying to work his way out of that one. I can hardly wait for you to be on the truck and the patient's looking up at you like,
What happened
what
to
happened to your
eyebrow?
eyebrows?
Ah,
Stressors of the job.
yeah. What do you mean? Every time I mess up, that's what I should tell them. Every time I mess up, I pull a hunk of them out.
Every time I lose a patient, I pull one out. I have more left.
Oh, that's just bad.
Oh, they'd be like, we're gonna have to leave. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for being on the show,
Yes, sir.
bud.